Welcome to the Church Office Podcast. My name is Gavin Smith, and it's a joy to welcome you today if you're listening in to the podcast. And got a special guest with me today, Fran Richley from Eden Gate. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you, Gav.
It's we strive on the podcast to have lots of different projects and different people, and we love celebrating and looking at the work behind the scenes in church life. And Fran's involved in leading a homeless charity in our city. So really keen to chat to you, my friend, today.
Okay, yeah, looking forward to it.
It'd be great. So, Fran, tell us a bit about yourself, mate, and how long you've been involved in Eden Gate.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I've been involved with Eden Gate since July of last year when I took over as the operations manager. Prior to that, Prince's Trust for about 4 years. Prior to that, I was in the police.
Yeah.
So a bit of a varied career,
Yeah.
but I absolutely love what I'm doing now.
Oh, that's great. And so you've always been working with people, I guess, haven't you?
Yeah.
Different fields of life, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people person through and through.
Yeah, that's great. And so, Eden, tell us a bit about Eden Gate. And I know lots of churches do stuff behind the scenes with sort of homeless projects, but yeah, tell us a bit about Eden Gate.
Yeah, so Eden Gate is it's a Christian charity, and we make no bones about that. It's out there, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So we are there to help people that are caught in homelessness. We're there to help people that have moved into temporary accommodation, where actually quite often the facilities that they have are really, really poor.
Okay.
And so they come to us for support and so on and so forth. And ultimately we're there to present the gospel through everything that we're doing.
Yeah. And so you have a contract with the council to deliver certain services, but it's about preaching and sharing Christ with those on the streets, I guess.
Yeah, it is. So our contract with the council, they give us a set amount of money to offer a drop-in service for a set number of hours a week, which we well exceed that with our current programme. On the weekends, we've got the contract for taking hot food out to the homeless. The council identify where a lot of the homeless people are staying out on the streets, and so we go out, make sure they're safe and well, and deliver food to them on top of everything else that we're doing during the week.
Yeah, brilliant. And so in our city, we're not a huge city, I guess, Newport, where the church is based and I'm based. What sort of numbers of homelessness are we kind of dealing with, or you're dealing with?
So the list is on the increase at the moment, and we're quite concerned about it. So when I started with Eden Gate, I guess we were probably seeing around about 20 on average out on the streets. We're now, every week, we're seeing upwards of 30, 35 people that for differing reasons are sleeping out on the streets, in doorways, in little tents and all sorts of stuff like that, under bridges. So it's as we're moving into the colder weather, that's something that's of a real concern to us.
Yeah, I bet. And I guess so much of your work is partnering with churches in the city to get alongside you and get alongside these clients, to share Jesus, to take care of them. How many churches are you working with across the city?
Gosh, that'd be a really hard question to answer. I'd say lots of them. Yeah. Exact numbers, not sure. I'm trying to do more and more with the churches, and one of the things I've wanted to do ever since starting at Eden Gate is to spend more time actually visiting them, rather than just being, oh, Fran, we've heard about him, but actually visiting them, going and sharing the vision that I believe God has given us for Eden Gate. And so rather than just a name on a piece of paper, I'm actually known. So we do get a lot of support from churches, not only in terms of financial support, or support if we say, we're short on porridge pots or socks, and they come flooding in, but actually in terms of prayer support, financial, people coming through the doors and saying, I want to volunteer at Eden Gate. So it's been brilliant.
Fantastic, and that network's grown, and we thought we'd put it on the podcast today, really, because I think one of the questions that people often ask is, how do you help homeless people in your city? And every church almost has a strategy or a bit of initiative, and maybe don't link up particularly well with other churches or charities that might be in there. What do you give me two things here? One, how do you help an individual who's got a passion to help a homeless person and want to see change, and how do you help a church do that? Give us kind of two reflections on that.
Okay, so first of all, I would say make sure you know about Eden Gate and what we offer.
Okay.
Because if you know about that, if you see somebody, you can actually say, do you know about Eden Gate? Let me tell you about it. Let me tell you when it's open. And in fact, on a Saturday at the end of this month, we're having an open day so that the public can actually come in, visit the centre, see exactly what we do. So I think that's Saturday the 26th of this month.
Great.
If my memory serves me right, it's the last one at the end of the month. So the 26th, 29th, 26th, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, 10 o'clock until 1 o'clock, our doors are open for people to come in and see what we do. So that would be the first thing. Make sure you know what we can offer. And secondly, and this might sound a bit bizarre, is don't give money and don't just give food.
Okay.
And the reason I'm saying that, and it seems like the obvious thing to do.
It is, yeah. It does seem like the obvious thing, yeah.
Most of the people that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis get universal credit.
Okay.
They're not without funds.
Okay.
The issue is what they use their funds for more often than not. And so if they don't have to buy food because people are buying it for them, then they've got disposable income.
Yeah.
A lot of them, we know this, are caught in addiction.
Yeah.
And so because they're caught in addiction, by definition, a lot of their money is going to be spent on feeding drug habits and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So although it might sound counterintuitive, don't give money, don't give food, send them to Eden Gate.
Yeah.
Or even send them to the Woolwich, which is another charity that we're working very closely with in the city that's got a contract with the council. They also do very similar work to us. Not a Christian charity, but great work nonetheless.
Yeah.
You know, find out a little bit about the Woolwich, point them towards the Woolwich. They probably know about us.
Okay.
One thing that I found out, was really surprised me, was that some people can make sort of like £200 a day.
Wow.
By begging.
Wow.
And that's something that the council, the police, we are really keen to stop for obvious reasons.
Yeah. So if you're listening to the podcast and thinking, that's me, because I go into town and will often buy coffee or something for them, or if I've got any spare change. I mean, people don't carry change as much now, so that's probably had an impact on these guys. But you're right. It's interesting chatting to you that actually these guys they're quite wise. They're homeless. They're not. What do you say? Not helpless.
Homeless, but not helpless is a phrase that we've picked up on, and really trying to make the most of that, because as part of Eden Gate, what we're trying to do as a team is to give some dignity and ownership back to our guests, as we call them, as they come through the door. So, like, we've got a washing machine and a dryer. Mm-hmm. We don't do their washing. Yeah. We charge them £2. It doesn't cover the electricity cost, certainly not in this day and age. Yeah. We're not interested in that. It's about if you want to do your washing, you need to be thinking about it. You need to come and present your little bit of a contribution. Then we'll show you how to use the washing machine and the dryer. You put it in, you transfer it, you fold it, etc., etc. Yeah. So we're really, really keen on all that we're doing is to say, listen, guys, you're not helpless. Let us help you to recognise that. So another thing that I'm just doing at the moment is, I don't know if you've seen them, but you can get these little lockers that you put your phone in to charge your locker. Yeah. Well, at the moment, they come in with their phones. The phones are invariably dead. And then they're asking if they can plug them in the office, which we take them and plug them in. So again, they're helpless. They've got a dead phone and they need us. Yeah. By getting these lockers installed, it means they can come into Eden Gate, put a combination in that is safe for them for the day, put their phone in, charge their own phone, and again, they're not helpless. Yeah. And it's working really well. It's I have to say, that's one of the things I really love, is seeing some of I call them guys, but it's girls and guys. I just call them guys. But seeing them actually start to take ownership of Eden Gate and themselves as we work through the program together.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? I think, it's interesting. We drive home this message of not giving out money and food to them, and I remember you sharing with me that there's other churches and other people that are putting on food that you could go and get a hot meal pretty much every meal of every day. Somewhere in the city in provision, and I suspect Newport is no different to other cities across the country with a similar sort of basis. If you're a church listening in to this and you're outside of Newport, what advice would you have for them? That church have got a real heart to set something up for homeless, want to be involved. Eden Gate is in the kind of our local area, isn't it, in Newport? What kind of recommendations have you got for churches to kind of start something, and how can they start something?
Okay, I think goes without saying, pray. We have seen God do some amazing stuff, and it starts every morning, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. We meet together, we open the Word together, and we pray. And it sounds a bit cliche-ish sometimes, doesn't it? But prayer changes stuff.
Yeah.
Our God is a mighty God, and so I would say before you do anything, pray about it. And see what God will do, because God's heart is clear for the downtrodden and the vulnerable and so on and so forth. It's right through the Word. So His heart is there. So we need to bring this to Him. Then I would say, don't do anything without speaking to certainly ourselves. We can pass on what a church is doing to, say, like the council and to the Wallich and Pobble and some of these other agencies, GDAS, Gwent Drug and Alcohol Service. So they're aware what's going on in the city. If you go it alone, what happens is we are duplicating, and then people are getting frustrated because saying, well, that's going on over there, but if they'd just spoken to that person, there's this going on over here. And do a bit more of a joined up effort. And I think it's one of the observations that I would have about Newport at the moment is it is still a little bit disjointed, and we need to join the dots with services. So make sure that get in touch, tell us what you're thinking, come and see what's going on, and come and have a chat.
That's good. And if you're outside of the area, if you're in London or you're in Manchester, where we've got people listening to the podcast, find out what services are running in your local community. What's the equivalent to Eden Gate in your local area? And I think that's always a wise thing to do, isn't it? Almost to do a bit of kind of community profiling, say what provision is there in place, start speaking to people and find where those gaps might be, and that may be the starting point to kind of where you can plug them. Or actually just get involved in something that's already existing and give financially to projects that are already up and running, because it's not an area that's really well funded, is it, in that sense?
No, it's not particularly well funded. We are very blessed at Eden Gate, both in terms of the way that we're funded by the local authority and the way that they view us, but we have so much support from people. Sometimes I wonder, how do we keep this going at this level? And it is just because God is faithful, people are faithful in giving, and so all that money goes back into, doing what we're called to do.
That's lovely. Tell us a little bit about the night shelter, because as you mentioned, people are sleeping outside under bridges. It's getting colder, certainly getting colder here in Wales. Tell us a bit about how you've set up the night shelter and your heart for that.
Okay, so I think one of the things I've been very, very aware of is working with the homeless is very much working on the coal face, to use that metaphor. And what I mean by that is, in the time that I've been in post, 4 people that I know have died. And they're they're real people. They're not just faces. They are people with backgrounds and stories and families, and so it really hits home how vulnerable the homeless really are. So from COVID, for obvious reasons, Welsh Assembly government didn't want night shelters because they were a real risk to the spreading of the infection. And so night shelters were really sort of kicked into touch, and the government pushed some money into making sure that local authorities had funding to put everybody in temporary accommodation. without wishing to be disparaging at all of Welsh Assembly government, I think they do a great job. It hasn't totally worked. Yeah. You know, we've still got loads of people that are living on the streets. Even though Welsh Assembly government don't want to put any more money into night shelters. So last year we didn't run it. And so we were going out, as I've said, you know, on a Saturday, Sunday, and 7 o'clock in the morning, freezing temperatures in our bobble hats and gloves, finding people in doorways and stuff, and just thinking we cannot allow this to go on for another year. So I feel very strongly that this year we need to run night shelter. We need to get people off the streets. The aim is to get them in from beginning of January right through to the end of March, which are probably our coldest months. What we want to do is to work with local churches and say, right, will you run a night shelter? And what that means is you get your folk in the church that you know, and you put on an evening meal. So they come in probably for 8 o'clock, have a sit down hot evening meal, then they have a bit of a chill, get their heads down, get a nice, warm, safe, good night's sleep, because the streets aren't safe. We've got homeless people getting attacked all the time. They get up in the morning, don't need to worry about a shower. They can have a shower at Eden Gate. But just get them up in the morning, nice bit of breakfast, whether that be continental or cooked, that's up to the churches. Off to go, building relationships, showing that practical love that Jesus talks about. You know, when you do it for the least of these, you do it to me. And that's what night shelter's about. And then hopefully we won't be going out and running that risk of, opening a tent and finding somebody that's died in the night just because of hypothermia or something like that. So that's where we want to be. I'm talking to the churches. There's a meeting at the end of the month to see if we can actually pull this off. So, if you're out there, you want to get involved, then please get in touch with me at Eden Gate. If you're not in one of the local churches that are doing it, I'm sure that we can link you up and you can be part of that activity.
And it really does save lives, isn't it? When you were saying 4 people since you started have passed away on the street. I mean, that brings the home. It drives the point home, doesn't it? That this really is a kind of essential ministry that saves people's lives, And I love the fact that each church gets to host, and you're talking about hosting each night of the week, so that every night is covered for them for a 3 or 4 month period. I love that. I love the fact that you sit down and have a meal together. That's just such a lovely piece of work, mate. You should be absolutely thrilled, and for me to have somebody on a podcast sharing project ideas like this is key. And if you're listening in and you're a church and you've not heard of a night shelter, or they don't do it in your area, then please get in contact with Fran at Eden Gate. And I know you were chatting about willing to share practice and risk assessments and things that people need. These are sometimes the obstacles, aren't they, for starting, and churches always don't feel like they're equipped to do it. And what would you say to encourage churches to take that step?
Just get in and have a go. Just make sure you speak to us, or to the Wallet or someone else, just to let somebody know that you're going for it, and then just go. Start small. Open your doors. Really, ultimately, it's about relationship. So for us at Eden Gate, when guests come through the door, we like to make sure, well, if you come to the open day, you'll see the building is spotless, deliberately, because we want guests to feel valued when they come through the door. So if you're going to do something, do it well. Make them feel valued in what you're offering. It's not second rate or that'll do. So like I'll say to people, don't give people second-hand underwear. You wouldn't wear second-hand underwear, so why are we expecting other people? Buy new underwear. Do you know what I mean? It's little things like that.
In the details.
Show people that they are valued, even though they might not feel valued right now because of circumstances, but they are valued, and they're valued by a God who created them. We want them to feel that, so that we get opportunity to talk about it. So do it. Value them. Do something. Show them you care. link in with other people,
Yeah.
but get involved.
Yeah. And I've loved our partnership with Eden Gate. You offer training, support. There's people here on the night if you need it. I love the fact that there's different gifts going on, isn't there? So you've got chefs, you've got people doing hospitality, you've got people who are doing an overnight stay, who are willing to sort of supervise overnight. And most of the guests just sleep, don't they, for the period, because it is a safe place to sleep. And they make the most of that, don't they? And so I've loved it when I've seen them doing a bit of social and table tennis, and then we've had people in the church who said, right, I'll come and do a haircut or something like that. And so once you start piecing all these different gifts together, it's kind of, it's lovely to be able to, like you say, go and bless a guest and them leave going, yeah, I'm valued, and those people in there, there's something different about them, and that's the Christ likeness that we want, people to experience. So mate, it's great. Tell me some success stories. Where have you had the opportunity to share the gospel, or just people that you've really been able to help to that next stage?
So I would say success stories would be guests that are now part of the church, which has just been amazing to see their growth in terms of the gospel understanding. So we did a Christianity Explored, only with a couple of guys. Both of those guys have been in the church now for months. And they finished Christianity Explored. They actually came to me and said, we don't want to stop studying. We want to carry on. What do we do next? And so we're studying John's gospel, and they're taking the lead in that. So it's like they do the work, then they bring it, and just to see them, I say, suck the juice out. It's just so exciting. We had some of the senior officers from the council came in on Thursday of last week, and they are just so surprised by Eden Gate. Just they say quite openly, there is something different about Eden Gate. The way that the guests are, the way it feels, the way it operates. And sweet. I love it. I love the fact that even though the council might not particularly agree with Christianity, lots of people just like, well, that's not for us. They see something different. And for me, I know that the difference is the presence of God in that place. And I'm just so excited to see what he's going to do. We've got a guy, two guys, three guys that are coming to Christianity Explored tonight.
Great.
And that's why I'm involved. That's why I'm involved with Eden Gate. Because ultimately, a bed for the night, a sleeping bag, some hot food in your belly, that's not the story. That's just a bit of the story. The story is there's a God who says, I came to give you life in all its fullness. And he's in the business of setting people free and bringing them into new life. And that's what it's about.
I love that, mate. What a brilliant message and brilliant motivation. And I love the fact that this passion just flows out from you. And it's great to see you connect across churches. It's great to see you serve these guests. I appreciate the advice and on what to do as an individual as you see people on the street and your heart goes out for them. I love that. Is there any particular ways that we can pray for you, or anything that you think you're in need of?
I think we would ask for continued blessing on our funding. We've got another staff member to find. We've got a lady that's been interviewed today. So hoping that she's the right person for us.
Fantastic.
So there'll be myself as an operations manager, and then 3 support workers, all who bring particular, complementary skills to the table. We've got such a cool team. I love working with my team. So just that would be the right person. And then that there would be an openness amongst our guests, not only for conversations about the gospel, which we're starting to see, but also that they would want to engage with the program that we're putting on. So we've got lots of different things go on, whether that be gardening, going up a local farm and assisting, or all sorts of stuff like this. We want to expand that into lots of different areas, but we need for our guests to be motivated enough to say, I want to get involved with that, rather than this cycle of come in, get something to eat, go out, wander the street, sit and beg for a bit, come in, get some food the next day, and so on and so forth. So that would be a biggie for us.
Yeah, it's great. And kind of a spin off of that is this kind of allotment project that you're doing and serving in and serving with the church in it as well. And there's just great scope, isn't it, to build relationally, that builds to an opportunity to share the good news of Jesus. And like you say, that's the power that's going to transform and change people's lives forever. And mate, that's why we're in the ministry behind the scenes doing this kind of work, isn't it? It's a privilege and a joy. I
think that's absolutely right. For me, I've seen evangelism done in so many different ways, even in Newport. Even as we sit here, evangelism is done in lots of different ways. I'm not saying they're all, they're not valid, but for me as an individual, evangelism works out of relationship. Start with the relationship, the opportunities then have a context that it just flows easier for me, and I love it. I love relational evangelism.
Mate, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to jump on the podcast and just hear your heart for this project. And like we said, if you're serving in a church behind the scenes, you're not involved in a homeless project, or you've got a passion and desire to, then please get in contact with the church office, questions@thechurchoffice.co.uk. You can connect into Eden Gate and speak to Fran directly if you've got questions, or just advice on how to set something up, how to get involved. Depends how broadly this is listened to, but mate, thanks for sharing your heart and just inspiring us to care for those in our society who are most vulnerable, and you're doing a tremendous work. So God bless you, mate, and all that you do.
Thank you, and thanks for inviting me.
Pleasure. Well, if you've got any questions, please send them in to questions@thechurchoffice.co.uk. Please check out the website for other resources that we hope will save you time, that will be of use to you, maybe just give you a bit of confidence that you're on the right track. So please feel free to download any of our material for free, and please connect in with us, and we'll see you next time on the podcast.